Congressman, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and hello from South by Southwest here in Austin, Texas.
Ah, okay, you're there.
I'm jealous.
We just showed that poll, which shows Trump ahead of your man. But there is early voting now in Florida, and a Monmouth County poll actually shows Senator Rubio ahead in early voting. Do you think that there's a trend here, or there could be a trend or something that the other pollsters just aren't seeing?
Well, this is one of the questions is, will the early polling or the early results actually end up being the result? And one of the challenges is if you keep hearing that your candidate is beyond possible winning, eventually you create that. As you know, CNN put out this false rumor that they were considering pulling out. All of that works against what the candidate that I believe in. And I believe in him today more than ever because Marco has been positive, inspirational. He's been about uniting our country, if you will, taking a bad situation and making it better, rather than candidates, quite frankly, on both sides who have been trying to play on people's fears. I think the people of Florida who have elected Marco Rubio in every single one of his elections, up to Speaker of the House and obviously Senate, I think they're going to back him, but the polls wouldn't indicate it, but the exit polls do, and I think that's very telling of how people actually vote when they consider that your choice is vote for Marco or Donald Trump will win this and probably become the nominee, and I think that's not necessarily where Florida wants to be.
Yeah, speaking of Donald Trump, I mean, he's got that big cushion, but you wonder if he's a little nervous. Look at this tweet that Mr. Trump tweeted a little early this afternoon, basically raising the issue of voter fraud. He said, word is early voting in Florida is very dishonest. Little Marco, his state chairman, and their minions are working overtime trying to rig the vote. Donald Trump is essentially accusing Senator Rubio and his team of trying to throw this thing. Is the fix in? What is he talking about?
Well, you know, this has been a challenge. The other day, I made comments about Donald Trump's performance in the debate. I was there in Miami for the debate where Donald Trump didn't understand the Cuba issues, didn't understand the relationship with Israel, made real functional mistakes. And I got these angry calls, hundreds of them, to my official congressional office by people backing Trump. You know, the challenge is promoting anger, that kind of discussion, talking about voter fraud. Certainly, the U.S. Senator doesn't have any ability to be involved in that, and there's no reason to believe it. But that kind of discussion is exactly the reason that so many of us have doubts about Donald Trump being the right choice. And I'm a Republican. I really, really want an alternative to Hillary Clinton. But my alternative is Marco Rubio because he doesn't say those kinds of things. If he makes a mistake, he apologizes. If he does the right thing, he doesn't gloat about it. He just moves on. And I think that's why voting honestly will, in fact, be for Marco Rubio in much greater numbers than the polls show.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of speculation that if he loses, he potentially could drop out or he'll stay in the race to try to, amass those delegates for a potential brokered convention. What's your prediction? Realistically, what do you think will happen?
Well, I've become a historian as a result of serving in Congress and looking through the history. And if you look up Abraham Lincoln and that brokered convention, what you discover was that William Seward was so far ahead of him that he didn't even show up. He assumed he would win it. And I think it was his surprise after 3 rounds that Abraham Lincoln was the consensus, the person who the Republicans felt they would unite their party and reunite our country. And it wasn't because Abraham Lincoln didn't have strong values. He, in fact, was very strong on the issue of slavery and the like. But it was because he was the one that brought the party together. So I would certainly encourage Marco to go on if he doesn't quite win this race, because at the end of this debate, when we get to Cleveland, it may be necessary for all delegates who can't get their candidate a majority to figure out which candidate can bring us together, reunite the party, and reunite America. And after all, when we as Republicans meet in Cleveland, we're not just trying to pick somebody to be our nominee or even somebody to be a president. We want somebody to unite the country, not just the Republican Party.
Congressman Darrell Issa, we'll see what happens, of course, on Tuesday and where the senator goes after that. We thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.